Hey there, welcome to Songs Off the Vine, the show where we have fresh and honest conversations with songwriters, musicians, and creatives about their story, their lives, and how they make the stuff that they make. I'm your host, Tim Ostdiek. Thanks for listening. We're 4 episodes in, I think. Crazy. If you're digging the show, please give us a 5-star rating wherever you listen. If you subscribe, that's super helpful. If you share it with your friends, that's even more helpful, especially if you think they'll dig it. If you'd like to catch some of my music coming up, you can catch me and Jenny playing at the Tasty Weasel on March 29th. And you can catch me and Jenny on April 4th at the St. Vrain Cidery in Longmont, Colorado. The first one, March 29th, will be Jenny with me backing her up, and the other one will be me with Jenny backing me up. It's confusing. We'll get a real name sometime. Let's get into the episode. Today, our guest is Teresa Storch. She's just a fantastic songwriter. We have some shared history growing up in Nebraska, eastern Nebraska for her. She's got a new album out called Open Your Heart. It's a wonderful, wonderful bunch of songs. You can get that wherever you listen to music. She's always playing a bunch of great shows with her band. You can find dates for that at teresastorch.com. This is just a delightful little conversation. We get into how spirituality affects her songwriting, how she's kind of built her life in music with other jobs and balancing being a parent, partner, all of that kind of stuff. And in the end, we learned we've had like kind of the same life. So that's really fun. So let's get into it, y'all. Teresa Storch. Thanks so much for being on the pod. This is one of the first ones ever. I'm so excited to have you as a first guest.
I'm honored.
Oh, it's wonderful.
I am very honored.
Yeah. How are you today? We'll start there.
I had a good day. Yeah, I had a great voice lesson with a teacher in Nashville I do like Zoom lessons with, who's really cool. And I got to keep working on the craft. That's one of my things.
Yeah.
And we're working on a new song, you know. You heard it, the one that I brought to your last Songwriter, Delio.
Oh, yeah.
At Tim's house, he has some songwriting soup and song. What do you call it? Soup and songs. They call it
soup and songs, yeah.
Once a month, and people eat soup and bring their new songs.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's a good little, like, for me, it's like a deadline where I have to have a song by that day, so...
Yeah, it's next week, right? And,
oh, gosh.
I'm not going to be able to make... it's my daughter's band concert.
Oh, you can skip that.
I can skip that. I could.
This is Soup and Songs. It only happens once a month.
I know. Band concerts, they're like every 6 months. So
that's fair. It's fun. At the last spot I lived before here, it was like a few years ago, I hosted, I think it was called Longmont Song Circle, and would always make a big old thing of popcorn. Oh, yeah, and everybody had to bring songs. And it's fun because I've been listening to your music all day to get ready for this.
Oh,
it's a great day.
That's sweet.
And it's so fun. They're like 2 or 3 songs that I remember hearing it there.
Really?
And now I hear them on the record.
Sweet.
I know Open Your Heart.
Yep.
And It's Not Okay. Definitely made it there.
Did I bring that?
You did.
Wow.
And that was really special. That was really... Because that was like such a powerful song, and you brought it right away, and it's like...
It was hard. It's always been hard to sing sometimes. I mean, it's gotten easier, you know, but it's one of those, when I was first putting it out in the world, it's like, are people going to hate me for this? You know, just any kind of protest song of any form. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel I'm always nervous about the reaction. You know, you don't know what goes on in people's minds. Yeah. But yet, you know, I think it's something that most people can... At least the female population can relate to. Mm-hmm. My song, It's Not Okay, it's sort of a Me Too movement. I don't even know how I was inspired by events right prior to it is what made me write it, which is fascinating because it wasn't really going yet. And then I wrote this song, and then these things started coming out, you know, and in the news, and I'm like, oh man, yeah, you know.
Yeah. That's real.
It's a thing, you know, and yeah.
And that's what every time, you know, you see it live, like it's one that resonates with people because it's like, I'm assuming I'm a white male, so I can't speak up to much of this. But I know from the human experience that like people react to real stuff, and that's and it's tough to write those songs, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Because they're real.
Because they're real. That's the harder, you really just, to be too, sort of brutally honest in a song it's hard,
Yeah.
It's scary. It's, vulnerable.
Yeah.
So.
But that's why we're here too.
Yeah.
It's because because
you,
it's the real,
Tim.
that's real stuff. Absolutely. It was fun listening to your music all day too. And listening to it through the lens of what's happening in the world now. It's February 2025, and for you listening in the future, everything's fine. Everything's
it's great.
Everything's great. But I marked down some lyrics to ask you about that I just want to get. And one of them I listened to today. I was like, oh boy. Mm-hmm. Humankind can overcome the worst of itself. And I was like, oh, I love that.
That's from Things Will Get Better,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that is the last song we wrote for that album, for our album Open Your Heart. And it was definitely during COVID, all of the craziness that was happening and all the fear we all had and like what's happening in the world and will things get better? And I want to just write something to, because I had to believe that. Otherwise, we're all just going to go crazy. And I tried to put it all in perspective, looking back, like all the shit humankind has done.
Yeah.
Eventually, I feel like we come around to a better place.
Yeah.
I really got to believe that.
Yeah.
And also then you think about, like right now, I just got to keep believing that,
That's where I came to today, too, while listening to that. Because I listened to that line, I sat on that for a while, and I was like, I think so. Is that
true?
I was like, I don't know. I don't know. But
I don't know either.
But it's the only way we can live, I think, is by thinking that's true. Because if we don't, then it's kind of, a moot point.
Yeah. I mean, it's so hard to understand, the other side and how they came to the beliefs that they have. Mm-hmm. And so, and when we feel those beliefs, are contradict what I believe, and then we have, but I think overall, it's just one race, the human race, and we all just want to live in freedom and peace, and people that just have a lot of fear, I think.
Yeah.
So,
and I think you're right in a really, because you write about what's happening in the world, definitely, and you don't shy away from any of that. Yeah.
I feel like that's my therapy in a way.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, that's how I process in a way.
Yeah.
And I think it connects with people too, because like, look, we're all dealing with this right now. I think someone's going to get this, hopefully, get some value out of it.
Yeah, I hope so. And it's, but I think you're right from a way, of a deeper truth, not necessarily, because it's easy to like write a song from like I think we're right and I think they're wrong, or I think this is true and I think that's not true. You write in such a wonderful way that's like we're trying to seek a deeper truth, and we're trying to find something that's that's beyond maybe a petty political difference that we're in, and more of like what does it mean to be human. I know like spirituality is a big part of your life and your songwriting. And what's the relationship between those two things? So you reference like the Bible and Gandhi and Mandela and meditation, so many things like that in your songwriting.
Yeah,
and I just wonder how the two of them
true.
kind of are. It seems like they're one thing.
Yeah, I know. God, that's a really interesting question. I never thought about that, but yeah, I feel like songwriting has to be an extension of. I mean, I feel like it's an extension of the songwriter. Obviously, what the person's putting out there in the world, and I, as a person, just as a human being, I strive to be a good person and to grow. I've always wanted to grow in consciousness, just to always learn whatever it is that I need as a human soul to become more enlightened, to become more aware, to be, I don't know, who knows what's out there. Am I going to come back am I going to die and come back? Do we do that? Are we, put on this earth to like try to change things, to help other souls, to be, Sometimes I feel like I am. That's why I'm here, you know? I've had a lot of fascinating spiritual weird things in my life, which maybe
we
want to get into that
on this podcast. It is welcome.
I've had a voice in my head that has told me like I'm supposed to be out here doing this.
Oh wow!
I had one like literally yell at me one time. I've had it a few times. It was the morning or like middle of the night, kind of between like before my first ever tour when I was like, I literally moved out of my apartment. Took off from a couple weeks of work, you know, I had planned this tour for my first time ever, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I was terrified. I was like, am I gonna survive if I do this for my life, you know? And I'm laying literally on like a mattress on the floor in my empty apartment, and like, I had this voice like, you're supposed to be out there. You're supposed to be out there doing this. You're supposed to be out there. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing it. Okay, you know, because I was starting to like be like, maybe I shouldn't do this, you know. It was amazing. Like that first tour I ever did, it was just like, that's some of my songs have come from those things, those experiences of like, what just happened to me? Like just going out and playing music and taking that risk and seeing how the universe provides, like how it will always respond to what you're, you know, when you're putting yourself out there, like and I had that experience over and over again playing on the streets in Harvard Square in Boston. And I got laid off, so I can tell you the whole story, but I got laid off 4 times in 5 years during the dot-com bust, living in Boston. So every time that happened, I do a little bit more music, and you know, and like one of like the first time I basically started playing in the subways and living on unemployment for 6 months. That's how I survived. And it was amazing to just, for me, you know, this is literally the start of my career, you know. It was like, this is how it starts. And I just take my stuff and my little battery-powered amp to the subway and 6 a.m. and play till about 10 for all the commuters. And it was so fun. To me, I was like, this is awesome. Like, I just want to play music for people. Like, screw engineering, you know. Like,
what like songs were you singing in that subway?
What songs? Well, so, you know, that's back then. Then I had to learn to, like, do more covers, which is fascinating because I'm coming back around to that. We're starting, my band and I are starting to do more covers because we feel like, and we keep being told, like, that's really what you have to do to really get people to listen to you. And that's what you had to do in the subway. So, I mean, okay, so, like, some of my, like, ones I used to play even like, recently, I mean, I used to play Hallelujah, the Leonard Cohen song, a lot. I started playing that in the subways and on the streets of Harvard Square. It's another place I busked a lot. John Denver, you know, country roads. But I would play my own songs too. You know, what did I have written back then? Hand Against My Fist, like the songs off my first little album.
Yeah,
is called. My first album was called Muscle Memory. It has 6 songs on it, little EP, and. Yeah, a lot of those songs are about, like, trying to pursue what you want to do with your life. So Hand Against My Fist is one of those. It's about resisting, like, what you want or what you want to create or just resistance in general. Choose Your Battles is one about clearly choosing what you want to do. I think, like, what do you want to fight for? I'm trying to think of what else is on there. Oh, I have a song called All Those Things. Anyway, that's about like people like on the subways and stuff. Like I wrote this song about all those things is sort of like about all the crazy things that we have in our minds and how we think that's like we're like this. It's like a barrier between us and them or the other people around us. I used to sit ride the subways and watch people and just see how no one talked to each other. Yeah. And it was really, to me as a person. So I haven't said this yet. I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska. So Tim and I have this. We have this bond, Midwestern bond, and I moved to Boston sort of to be in the music scene out there, and I was like, wow, this is different. It's a culture shock. It really is. It's very
they don't so scary there when you.
They don't talk to you. They don't, and so then I started doing this, like a social experiment. I'd walk down the street. And I'd smile at people.
Oh,
Yeah.
And I had the whole most hilarious experience. So walking down the street, and I'd been living there for a couple of years, and so I had a guitar teacher like I went to regularly. He did these group performance classes, which were pretty fun. Mm-hmm. And so I'm walking down the street, and I said hi to this woman, and then later on I'm at the guitar class, and she's in it. And she's like, "Oh my God, I didn't recognize you. I'm sorry, I didn't say hi back." I'm like, "I didn't recognize you either."
That's crazy. You were a part of my experience.
Yeah.
And you
failed. That was really funny.
Oh,
You failed. No, but so back to my song. So I wrote this song called All Those Things, which I just took all these like experiences of, wow, what if something bad happens? What if there's some kind of emergency on the subway? What if there's, what if there's blood? What if there's, and this was before 9/11.
Oh my God, yeah.
And I think about that after the fact, like then when 9/11 happened, because I was living there in Boston.
Yeah.
And it was super intense, and everyone helped each other. Everyone was looking out for each other. Like it actually, like I wrote that song wondering, and then I really did get to experience like how people do in those kind of situations.
Yeah. And you got an answer out of such darkness. Yeah. Such a beautiful answer out of something so miserable. It's insane how that.
And because I wrote that song in like, God, 2002,
man,
something like that.
That's awesome. Do you still play stuff from that early
Wait,
record?
no, 2002. That was after 9/11. I wrote it. I had to have written it before 2001. I must have been 99 or 2000 then.
Oh, wow.
God. Okay, anyway.
Maybe you released it after that?
I released it, yes. I released it, the album, in November of 2002. But I had written the song before that. I wrote it like right after I moved there. I moved there in April of 99.
Okay.
So.
Nice.
Anyway.
What's your relationship with those songs now? Because it's always weird, like listening to your old. I find myself all of a sudden having like this grace for my old songs. Mm-hmm. Like if a song's 3 or 4 years old, then it's awful. That guy was like an idiot. But if it's 10 years old, I'm like, oh, look at that sweet kid who was trying his best. It was kind of good. I don't know. What's your relationship with that early stuff?
I still love to play them.
Yeah.
We played Choose Your Battles with my band. I've always wanted to bring all those things to them because it's rock and angsty song, like, and sometimes they're still relevant. Mm-hmm. And I God, what's my relationship? I just have, it's kind of a sweetness. I think about me back then and like how much I didn't know and how much I wanted to understand and learn and what I was absorbing at that point, just being in the Boston, singer-songwriter scene I was in. And, but then I also think about, man, I should have worked harder back then. Like I could, if I then all these years go by and like, I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's a record. I love the Ani DeFranco line. Do you know that line of like, we make records of an event of people playing music in a room.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's such a great way to look at it.
It's a snapshot in time. So
that's so great. And it opens you up so much. Because I feel like in times when I'm writing, or like if it's between albums, or if it's like in a moment when I, as an artist, feel like I have something to prove, I try to write the best song I've ever written. Which inevitably means no song, and like I can't. It's like there's nothing that shuts you down more than trying to write such a great song. Mm-hmm. But whereas you're like, let's just capture what it was like to be us in whatever this
is right now. I mean, that's all we really can do. And this is so great for me to be listening and talking to you about this because it's like I really have not been writing a lot, and I want to be writing more, and so. Thinking about it, like, okay, I just need to write what's going on right now, and that's what I did with a lot of the songs from Open Your Heart, because a lot of it was via the during the pandemic and the Trump 1.0 and transitioning into the Biden administration. It was there was a lot of fodder.
There was so much fodder. Yeah. And I remember hearing some of the songs as they were coming to form with the band, and like while you're working on the record, and going through those moments. And it was so weird to listen to it today because you're like, this it could have been written now. Unfortunately,
it's coming again. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have a one line in open the song "Open Your Heart." Like there's a spiral that history makes.
Yeah.
Progress is made, wealth is obtained. And
I
because
love the way you sing that, by the way, too.
Oh,
It's
thank you.
it's just the syncopation of that and the drum is so cool. Go on.
Thanks. Oh no, that's so cool. I mean, I love that. Yeah. But I've always thought about this, and I don't. Maybe I must have read it somewhere. But how history is a spiral, and how it's like we're gonna forget, we're gonna screw up, and then hopefully we still spiral upwards.
Yeah.
Not downwards.
Yeah.
So this feels like a backward slide, but I think it's all in everyone's perspective.
Absolutely.
For all those MAGA and conservative people, they're finally getting what they've always wanted, and so it's interesting.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with the world.
Yeah, and it's tough to the beef of that song is the way the truth would never prey upon your fears.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. Our relationship with what the truth is going to be interesting, and see how that changes.
Yeah.
On both sides, especially as what the current side in charge, like what they're gonna get what they want, and will they see the truth that results in a lot of people hurting, probably, and a lot of suffering.
Yeah.
For their neighbors and
possibly for
us
themselves,
and
for all of them.
Yeah.
This is, that line, the truth would never prey upon your fears. Like, it's like, I have to believe that, like, there's a clarity somewhere amongst all the chaos of what's true and real and good, I guess. And maybe good is subjective to someone's experience. I don't know. But I just gotta feel that there's a truth in there and fear is not involved in that.
No.
It's gotta have love. That's all.
Yeah. Man, we could end it right here.
Okay, we're done.
That'd be perfect. We're done.
There's a speed.
This is a speed round question, which we'll just normally I end with it, and by
Okay.
normally I mean for the other 2 podcasts I've ever done. But now this feels like a good time to ask the question. What song do you want played at your funeral?
Oh, God. Oh, wow. I don't know why what just popped in my head was What a Wonderful World.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why. I sing that sometimes for the church, the Unity
Yeah.
Longmont Church that Tim and I both
We will see it. It's a lovely
sometimes
church.
play music for.
Yeah.
They're just a sweet group of people. I don't know why that popped in my head. Otherwise, what would I want at my funeral?
Man, What a Wonderful World is a dynamite answer to that question.
I just want people to not be that sad. I mean, that's cool to miss me and all, but
Yeah.
but don't
Be a
like
little sad. But
it's just part of life. I think
yeah.
dying, it's
That was it. All of it.
it's just the cycle, and we all move on, and hopefully there's something cool after this life that we're gonna experience.
Yeah.
I think there is. I don't know.
I think so too.
Maybe we come back. Maybe we don't. Maybe we, I think consciousness is eternal. I think somehow we stay. I don't know.
I do too. It seems like there's a version of the thing, the energy, and the energy moving forward that
It has to go
it can't
somewhere.
just be like gone.
Yeah,
But,
because it's a whole other. It's like this is just the physical plane. There's a whole other spiritual, I think, or a non-physical
Yeah.
place. Because I don't know. I've had too many experiences of things that are non-physical, like that voice I was talking about earlier, where I don't know.
Yeah.
I could anyway.
I love that stuff. I love that stuff.
We'll talk more.
My
Yeah.
favorite understanding of that was because I was raised Catholic, and you raised Catholic. We were just how was that for you?
I remember the priest that was like 6'6" tall. He was like super tall.
This sounds like
huge
a Catholic
hands. He was
priest.
kind of like fire and brimstone, terrifying. I remember being like, you know, yeah. I think I was a very shy child.
Yeah.
Like I didn't speak to adults really. I mean, I guess I'm sure I answered them and stuff, but I just was insanely shy. I was shy up through high school.
Okay.
I was very quiet, and I sort of chose to then change, but become this external person that I am. I guess I get on stage and stuff. Anyway, but yeah, gosh, I mean, my family wasn't like uber Catholic yet. I guess it really was my mom. When we went to help make my mom happy, I did all of the First Communion, confirmation, CCD classes on Wednesdays after school. Did you do that and all that stuff?
Yeah.
And my mom, I think she even was a teacher at one point.
CCD.
CCD, whatever, Catholic Catechism Doctrine or something like that. I forget what it stood for.
Yeah. Boy,
But-
they had a way with words, those.
Yeah, but it was, I'm grateful for my education beyond that.
Yeah.
Beyond like leaving and going to college elsewhere and learning about other religions and learning about other ways of thinking. And I mean, I definitely don't buy into there's just so much wrong about Catholicism, you know. There's some beautiful parts to it. I'm sure Jesus was an amazing person and a really cool dude and helped a lot of people. Yeah. And, I don't have anything against Jesus. It's really just the organized religion and the corruption and the power wielding. And it's just doesn't make any sense.
Control over people.
Yeah.
There's only one thing
and,
I think.
And the abuse, the child abuse, and just horrifying.
And covering it up and.
I have a friend. Yeah. I had a friend in Boston who went through that.
Oh gosh.
And you just, how do you deal with that? I don't know. And as an adult, even it still affected him.
Yeah, because the thing we're supposed to trust the most and supposed to believe in the most betrays us in that way. And then what?
And oh God, I just feel for all those kids.
Yeah,
adults now, whoever they are now.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thing that I keep thinking through the whole conversation of like our relationship with organized religion and church, specifically in this country, and I'm assuming worldwide, is a bit toxic and pretty troublesome from my point of view. Very but it robs us of this opportunity to talk about things like why are we here and what happens when we die and like how do we arrange our lives in these important ways that like church is where you talk about those things. And when you don't have that space, it's tougher to find that. But I think things like songs and like this kind of world is great.
Yeah, we're lucky, I think, because we have this art form. I mean, maybe just artists in general, they can explore these thoughts and ideas and feelings around stuff like this. But yeah, you're right. Every other, if you're a bank teller, like, I don't know. You just have to find your place. And there's a lot of other, religions or spiritual groups that you can find these days that there's so many different kinds of things. It's more choices out there I'm more drawn to the New Thought churches, like performing for unity. I don't feel like I'm like a unity proponent or like you have to do that at all. I mean, I feel like you find what's right for you, and which in a way is a Buddhist trait. I don't know if you've studied any. I studied a bit of Zen Buddhism when I lived in Massachusetts, and in general, it's one of those. It's not really a religion; it's a philosophy. It's more of like find the path that works for you. That's the way, and if it feels right for you, it's your thing, And for some people, it's meditating many hours a day, and it's wearing the formal robes and doing the Dharma talks and in the Buddhist traditions. But there's so many ways to explore this experience of being a human being on this planet.
Yeah, and it's a wild one.
Yeah,
man.
I love it. I mean, I really do. This is so good, Tim. Thank you. This is so good. This is like therapy for me.
Oh, me too. This is amazing. It's so fun having the
therapy in a microphones.
Microphones for all of you to
listen to. Welcome to our session.
Welcome to our session.
If you too are a recovering Catholic, we have a phone number for you to call on the bottom of your screen.
Recovering Catholics from Nebraska, call 555-732. I don't know.
1-800.
Oh man, that playing at Unity is such a special experience.
Do you like it?
It scares me every time because like I am a spiritual feeling and thinking person, but not in any, not in a way that I feel equipped to like perform at like a spiritual service like that.
Really?
Yeah, I always feel I always find my gift in the middle of it because I'm scared at the beginning. I'm like, I don't know what I have to say,
Yeah.
But then I'm like, I'll just kind of be there and hear what they're saying and find a song that matches.
I do the same thing.
Oh yeah, like never
come up with I often this is a hint. I don't know. I always ask, what's the theme?
Oh, that's
the night before.
Move. Yeah,
I ask, what's the theme of the talk going to be? So how this little church service. I mean, it's not even church service. It's just on Zoom, and it's really just a gathering of people, and someone gives a talk, and but and we play music, and so it's usually a couple songs, and someone talks, and then a couple songs, and so I do the same thing. Like I find out what the theme is, and I think about, okay, well, what does that mean to me, and I come up with a couple things, play those two, and then I listen to the talk, and then I have in my back pocket a couple ideas of what possibly they could, and then sometimes I go totally different than what I was thinking. Like, oh no, it's this song. That's gonna get them, to tie it all together. To sort of reinforce what was being talked about. And the coolest thing is then when the whole thing's done, because it's a small group and we're all just on Zoom, then we all just get to chat about what we just heard and experienced, and it can be super moving. Yeah, that's what I love about it.
Too. Almost every single time.
I'm always crying.
Yeah.
I'm always like about to cry. Yeah. It's just, it can be so intense, especially performing, and even though you're on Zoom, like you're not even in the same room with these people.
No, and it's somehow like almost more intimate. Like it's we did it in person, which is like a really small like yoga studio in a nice circle.
Did you do? Yeah, you played for them back then. Yeah. And that was always great.
Really amazing too. But Zoom is almost more intimate because you like it feels more quiet, and you like. And it's the same sometimes with like live stream performances and a bunch of these things where you're like. You're completely alone, but you're with him, and you kind of hear the silence between everybody. Yeah, and it's a wild experience.
Yeah, I love it. I don't know. Unity Longmont Spiritual Center. Come join us on a Sunday.
Yeah, I'm there 3 times a year.
Yeah,
whenever
only
you
3.
Yeah.
I'm not able to do it this month, so I did they ask you?
I think they did, and I think I was out of town.
Oh shoot!
I know. Was it the 16th?
Yes.
Yeah, I got an email for it.
Oh, bummer.
I know. I need to do less things in my. I need to have
Sundays.
less things on my calendar in my Sundays. Yeah. Oh man, there's some other fun things I wanted to dig into.
Okay.
One of them was you were talking a little bit about when you were coming up in the New England music scene, and you were like had all these tech jobs, laid off 4 jobs in 5 years. From the season I just knew you in, working like a full-time job while like making an album and gigging all the time. And I know you've had stretches of doing music full-time too. Mm-hmm. And what is some of like what have you learned from that? What works for you? What doesn't? Because I want an answer for myself.
How to survive?
As someone who, and also is passionate about jobs and
Like I did do mostly music. I always kept some kind of part-time work because you really it's very difficult to make your living as a touring singer-songwriter. As I was a solo touring artist, I'd bring friends along if whoever wanted to tour with me, or pick up bands wherever I was if I knew a couple of great musicians to sit in or whatever. But pretty much did it all on my own, and it's so I found jobs outside of that always to keep paying my rent back in Cambridge, Massachusetts. It wasn't cheap. And then when I moved back. So I was in Boston from 1999 to 2009. I moved back here to Longmont, and and still kept touring. And I have some lovely parents who helped me get a little condo, so it was great.
Okay.
But yeah, then after a few more years, I mean, I was on the road for 8 months out of 2010.
Wow.
I was burned out.
Yeah.
I kept doing it in 2011. So by like summer, fall 2011, I was like always sick. I didn't know what was going on with my health. And it's so hard to keep doing that. Like it's just to put yourself out on the road. And it was amazing. Like if anyone ever wants to do it, like do it, and do it before you have a family. Do it when you are young. And I mean, it's so amazing to just travel and play music and connect with people all over the country, and even in Europe or whatever you could get to. So, but then I got burned out, and I was lonely. I really wanted a partner, someone I could, and money, it's tiring to try to. And I was always searching for ways to make money, whatever, part-time gigs. And I stayed sort of in the tech world. I did this technical editing of software books. So that's how I stayed. I'm a software engineer. Anyone needs to know that. That's what I do now. And I was one, and that's what I kept getting laid off from back when I was living in Boston. So I decided, you know what? I'd rather just kind of take this degree or whatever, this ability to make some money. And really what drove me to do it was because I couldn't afford to create the album I wanted to make.
Yeah.
I was in the middle of making an album. I didn't have enough money.
Yeah.
I was totally broke. So I'm like, okay, I'll just get a full-time job. And it's like, I'll try it. And then, I looked at it the same way I looked at being a musician. Mm-hmm. When I first wanted to be a musician, I'm like, that's crazy. I have an engineering degree. Why would I want to get up and play songs for people, and how can I make a living at that? That's crazy. So I would give myself 6 months. Like, try for 6 months, put yourself into it, see how it feels. And if you hate it, you can always go back. You can always get a job again. So I did that, and I kept doing that. And so instead of, okay, I'm going the other direction. I'm going to get a full-time job. Well, you can always quit. You can go back to doing music, full-time, or as much, or you could do this full-time thing for a short time and then go down to part-time I just had to inch my way every 6 months or so. And I think it was the best thing I did to go back and allow myself the relaxation of, the calm of like, okay, I'm taken care of financially, because it's kind of super stressful. Mm-hmm. And so then with that, I was sad. I definitely remember being like, I'm not playing shows. That's what heals my soul. Yeah. Is playing music and being out there in front of people. And so it's finding that balance, really, of, and it's so much work. I mean, this is an ebbs and flows. And my husband and I can go back so I went back to this day job work and met this amazing man who is now my musical partner and my husband, which is crazy, because that's what I was kind of looking for when I was touring all the time. I was like, I'd love to find a partner I could do music with. Mm-hmm. And I never found anyone, And so here I have this lovely man and 2 stepkids. That's amazing. Which is crazy. Yes. So, and that was another, I didn't plan to have children, but hey, they're pretty great. It's I'm pretty lucky, man, to have kids. Yeah. And to have them part-time, Yeah. So that's the other thing.
Best of both worlds.
Best of both. I saw what you did there.
I knew I was going to get that.
So it was, even just like right now. So a lot of the last, I don't know, 6 months or 8 months have been a lot of spending time with my parents, because they're very elderly and they need a lot of help. And they live in Omaha alone. And my siblings and I have been going back and helping and making sure they're okay, and they need caregivers. They really do, unfortunately. And so that took up, I don't have a lot of gigs booked right now this year, because I just didn't book anything last fall. I was focused on my family. And it's okay to do that. And then you come back to okay, shit, I need to book some shows. And you send out a bunch of emails. You really think about like, okay, what good new video can I, it's just a constant process of like, I mean, I'm so lucky to have my husband who can help me. Like we work together as a team, so he can help create video content that we want to put out there that then we can put on YouTube that people can see for booking. And I do most of the booking. I do most of the emailing and stuff. He sucks at it. I have to admit. I love you, Peter. But I've tried to get him to book one show for us.
Yeah.
Rosalie's Pizza.
Okay.
Because he would go there all the time.
Yeah.
And drink or get pizza.
Yeah.
And he finally kept talking to the people and it's like, okay, yeah. And then he just dropped it. He never like the dates they offered didn't fit. Like we couldn't do them. So I'm like, you got to follow up. And he just forgot about it. And I'm like, okay. So then he went back again. I'm like, just let me do it. You just aren't. He doesn't have the mind of like the detail of. Okay, I know in the back of my mind, I sent an email a week ago. I didn't hear back. Okay, I got to follow up. I got that kind of stuff.
It's like a unique hustle.
It's the one. A friend of mine described it once as that being a musician, you have to apply for every single day of work. You have to like reapply every time, unless you're lucky and someone like remembers you and really wants you to come back. Yeah, and that's just. It's not sustainable unless you like having a book. Like you can't do it your whole life without any kind of help. You have to have an army. You have to have your booking agent and your manager. And at the level I was at, I had a manager for a while. She helped a bit out in New England. She's great. But my music also is just such a weird, genreless. I don't even know how to explain it. I write wherever I want to write. I don't. Put myself into anything, but I try to explain it as Americana to roots rock but I love jazz and blues and all that. I mean, so how do you put it all together?
And it's all in there.
It's all in there. I don't know.
It's not one of the things.
Yeah, I don't even know how to describe what I do. Yeah. So then it kind of comes down to singer-songwriter.
That's what I resort to as well.
like it could be anything, but we've really been becoming. We really want to be more in the sort of the jam world because Peter and I love that. So it's one of our ideas of recreating our band or like morphing it more into like how do you write jam songs? Like it's a thing. It's like a way. They're almost always in Mixolydian, just so you know.
Okay,
that's what we keep. That's what we're learning. Because they're you got to be able to flow in and out of easily and like to make different flavors of within the same like 2-chord structure or whatever. It's fascinating stuff.
That makes sense.
So we'll get there, but I realize like I'm getting older and I'm not I get really frustrated with myself. I don't know if I'm giving you anything. I'm sorry. I'm supposed to be helping you, and I don't feel like I'm. But I'm just like.
I was. What I was hoping for was you'd be like,
do this.
Here's 2 things to do, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
And it'll be easy. So
it's work really hard.
Okay,
those are the 2 things.
I'm not gonna do that.
You got
Next.
like that's what I feel like. I get motivated, and I'm like, okay, I want to book a bunch of shows if we want to play. Because I know I need to play in order to feel happy.
Yeah,
Peter does not need to do that, but I need to be on a stage.
Yeah.
That's the addiction I have.
Me too.
It's like,
it's so strange.
What it is. But ever since I was 3 years old and I did my first dance recital, I literally was like, I was sold. Like, this is what I want to do. And I didn't get it at 3, really understand what that meant. But
It's so interesting because I'm the same way where I have an addiction to needing to do this. But like also the same thing that you were talking about like up until high school, like you were pretty shy and not necessarily
but
like this extrovert.
But I was doing ballet.
Oh, okay, and that's where it was.
That was like, my art and I was on the stage a lot with that. Yeah. So I danced with Ballet Omaha until I was 18.
Okay.
And then I moved to Colorado for college and danced with Boulder Ballet until I was 25.
Oh, wow.
So that was my first art.
That's amazing.
But I also sang in choir, in high school and college. Yeah. I took some guitar lessons. I started really getting into taking guitar lessons, like to write songs. Like I picked that, after I graduated college. And in college, I went to the Colorado School of Mines. If anyone knows where that is, it's right next to Red Rocks in Golden. Well, Morrison is right next door to Golden. And my life in college was really all about going to shows, going to see live music. And it sucked me in. It was like,
Yeah.
oh my God. And I was a junior in college when and like front row for it was actually Lyle Lovett and his large band.
Oh, yes.
But the opener was Lisa Loeb.
Damn.
And my boyfriend at the time was big into Lyle Lovett. So he was from Texas. And so he would make sure, like, we had this down to a science of how to get down front at Red Rocks back in the day. Back then, the first 20 rows were general admission.
Yeah.
And they aren't anymore, but they used to be. And you could, if you got in at a certain time in a certain parking lot, you could sometimes sneak in and get down really front, run down close, down front. Anyway, so I saw Lisa Loeb, and I'm like, I could do that.
I could be one of those.
I could be a chick with a guitar on a stage. Like, the large band thing, I'm like, that would be cool, but that looks too scary.
Yeah.
But like me and a guitar, like I can control that, I can do that.
Yeah.
And I've been on a stage a lot, like that doesn't scare me. But the like singing in front of people and all that terrified me. But I had these songs already. Like was writing lyrics in my journals in high school, in college, really. And then so when I graduated, I was like, okay, what do you really want to do? And I just started taking a voice performance class and guitar lessons and trying to create these. How do I get these little songs that are in my head? How do I create them? And then my roommate was from Boston.
Okay.
And that's how I ended up out there. She was here in Boulder. So I was living in Boulder at the time, living and working in Boulder. And I needed a roommate and just like got matched up through this housing, roommate service thing. Yeah. And we talked on the phone, and she was coming out from massage school, Boulder School of Massage Therapy. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And she's the coolest person. She was really, really interesting. So grounded, so like spiritual. And she came from basically, Somerville, Cambridge, Massachusetts. And she turned me on to so much music out there. Mm-hmm. She played me she'd seen Patty Griffin in coffee shops.
Oh my god!
And Martin Sexton.
Oh,
and
those insane.
Martin Sexton played on the streets. Played in Harvard Square. Like those people, like she turned me, and like I don't know if you got to. Do you know Peter Mulvey? Did you meet him?
Yeah, I met him with folks. Yeah,
he's a really good friend of hers.
Oh, cool.
He sang at her wedding.
Oh my gosh.
He would call up our phone, like from Massachusetts. He called our Boulder apartment, and he'd leave these voice messages, and I'm like, who's the guy with the deep voice? Oh, he has this amazing voice, Peter Mulvey. You should check him out.
I have this pickup and this guitar.
Oh,
that's
a Fishman
Peter
blend.
Mulvey uses. Yeah,
I use one
and
too.
I got that because of him, and I have the bass EQ pedal he uses. I talked to him after Folksfest performance. I was like, your acoustic guitar tone is insane.
It's so good.
It's absurd. And he's like, I just do these two things, and here they are. Peter Mulvey.
Right on.
Yeah.
Peter Mulvey. I love that man. So he really, okay.
Come on the pod, Peter, anytime.
God, he really inspired me a lot. I mean, he really, because I moved to, because this woman, her name is Jo Gray. She's really cool. Anyway, she, moved back to Boston, and I visited her within a few months because I'm like, I think I want to go where all this music is. Whoops, sorry, just knocking your microphones.
That one will be muted.
All these, that you shared with me. I mean, Chris, you probably don't know Chris Delmhurst. I mean, back in the day, so even like Ellis Paul back then, anyway, like she just turned me on to all this music, and especially the Patty Griffin's first album just rocked my world back then. And I'm like, it made me want to do this. And because Jo, she said to me, she's like, she's just a person. She's just, singing, and it's like her chords aren't very complicated. It's nothing really that difficult. Like, you can do this. Yeah. She was very encouraging to me. And so that's why I was like, okay, I need to leave my life of Colorado. It's like I had this thing in my head. It was like my engineering ballet dancer lifestyle, surrounded by some family, and I don't have a lot of family, but I had some brothers and sisters out here, and go somewhere completely different and like try this thing that I had in my head to do it. I had to leave here. I had to go somewhere where no one knew me, and I could sort of had to be on my own and figure this out. And it was terrifying and the best, again, one of the best things I ever did. Mm-hmm. Just trust that inner voice of following this thing. even though it seemed totally crazy still, you know. But I'm like, okay, well, I did it in a smart way. Made sure I had a job. I got a software job, you know, and so I was out there working, and I was doing open mics and meeting people, and still totally afraid of, like, you know, doing it as any living, you know, at all. But I started playing a few little gigs here and there, and then the first time I got laid off was like the day after, like, the best gig yet that I'd had. Well, literally, it was like, go in, and I'm like, what? God, what are you telling me? Yet again, you know, this like, so. Yeah. So, and I remember I would watch Peter Mulvey play in the subways a lot. Before that point, so cool. He made a whole album in the subways. He recorded an album down there. I have to go watch him, and so I'm like, okay, this is my time to go play in the subways. That's where, you know, this is what you do. This is how you do it. You know, and it's just practicing. You know, literally, you're just practicing in front of people. Yeah, that's what it is.
And any that kind of morning hour, that people on the way to work hour,
fucking morning. Yeah,
and their dreary.
And they would love it.
Give them a little bit of light.
Great. And you get immediate feedback of if you're doing a good job or not. Yeah. You know, it'd be like, oh, they actually stayed. Like, if they skip a train, awesome.
That's
a good song. You know, they could be late. They could, if they skip a train to listen to another song. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. It's been a really interesting life I've had. Yeah. I have to say. I'm still working on it. You know, I want to be a better musician and writer, and I get really down on myself about writing because I don't do it enough.
Too.
I mean, and I love that you're doing this thing every month, and okay, maybe I'll still try to write a song, even if maybe I could show up late to it.
Oh, sure, you can show up whenever. Yeah,
I might. I don't know if I can write a song this weekend.
That's why I had to start doing the stupid songs again, because I was like, if I don't have a deadline where people are gonna come and I'll have to play a song for them. If I don't have that, then it's tough. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't happen. And, like, I'm the same way. Like, so hard on myself for not writing songs.
And writing songs is not easy. No. That's the thing. It takes time. Mm-hmm. And I feel like my life is so full with children, and as well as a job and a relationship. And then, you know, then I think about my family, like my elderly parents and all my, you know, I'm like, how am I going to do it all? And I'm like, okay, you can. And it's okay. You do what you can.
Boy, there's the answer.
You do what you can.
You do what you can.
You can't do it all.
Yeah.
And you be gentle with yourself. And maybe I watch less TV. That's my other addiction.
Nope, I'm out.
I gotta I watched, you know, it's like I could watch less TV, and I could instead take that time.
You mean we don't have to watch The Office for the 7th time? Because we're gonna do that.
Oh, have you seen Severance?
That's actually on our list of things to watch
Severance.
soon. We haven't seen it. Okay. Oh. We have, like, so many classics. Severance.
I like the new sci-fi trippy ones. That's right.
I watched, like, the first episode of it.
It gets a lot better.
Okay.
It's weird. We did the same thing. We watched the first episode, and we're like, I don't know about this show. Yeah. And then I think Peter read something about it. He's like, I hear it gets a lot better. I'm like, okay. All right. We'll give it a try. Oh, now we're like, can't wait for the next episode kind of thing. Yeah. It's deep. It's, yeah.
Oh, I need to watch that.
Yeah. Man. It's worth it in the end. You're like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. We have so many shows that like they're just built on their list of, like, we're gonna dig into this classic. Succession is another one.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
That's just one of the greats.
Okay.
And then I can't remember the other one. The, like, classic one that tells the story of a president.
That's
like the best.
West Wing.
West Wing. Yeah, that's the one that we have. That's what we'll be watching next. So
nice.
In 5 years, when we do this podcast again, we'll do a few podcasts between now and then. But in 5 years is when we will have seen one of those shows, probably. Oh man, there's a couple more things we should get into.
Oh sure, I could talk and talk.
No, that's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. Let's talk a little bit about another way that our lives mirror is. Because when you were talking about this stretch of, like, getting burned out and playing music all the time and just being like, and not healthy and lonely and everything. I was like, I had that.
You've been there.
I resonated with that a lot, and I did the same. I was like, I went back to my coffee shop job and tried to figure it out, and now I have a super cool job.
You do have a cool job.
I have a cool job. Longmont Public Media. They're helping the show. The lights and camera and all that stuff is rented from there. So go there and I'll be there to help you visit. This
Tim
is the
works
word
there
from
now. I love
the word from the sponsor.
Nice.
But at the end of all that, there was you meeting a wonderful partner that was a life partner and a music partner. And I had the same experience.
You did.
Which is so we have the same life, I think.
How did this happen?
How did this happen? Well, tell me a little bit about that.
Wow.
About how like you started when you got to the point where you're like, can we write a song together? Can we play music together? Because that can be a treacherous thing in a relationship.
Well, we started out as friends. Like he was married to someone else at the time. He was my boss at work. That's how we met.
This is a good start.
Yeah. So we literally met, like the way how we met was in a conference room for my job interview.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So someone handed him my resume, and he just, he's like, okay, yeah. And they told him to interview me. And I guess because I had already passed at that point, like the technical interview, thank God, and some other things. I think I had talked to at least 2 people, and he was the last one of the day. And what was the name of the conference room? God, we joke about it. It had it was all Mozart-related names.
Oh, cool.
It wasn't Requiem. It was Don Giovanni.
Don Giovanni
was the name of the conference room. They named them after Mozart pieces.
Yeah.
And because the company was called Amadeus Consulting.
Okay.
And I always thought the poor conference room called Requiem, they didn't understand. I didn't think they got that that's like a mass for the dead.
Yeah.
And they named their conference room that. Sorry. Okay.
That's amazing.
They had no idea. It was hilarious. But so Don Giovanni is where we met. Anyway, and he said, so he's looking at my resume, and I felt like, okay, this has been going pretty good today. I'll be honest with this guy right away. I'm like, look, my resume is a little weird. I've been a touring singer-songwriter for the last 8 years. And so I've done a lot of part-time work, but I was a software engineer back in the late 90s. And so I think I'm pretty good, could learn fast,
Yeah.
I can get back up to speed on the technology and stuff. And he's like, well, I'm a guitar player, and I used to tour with a band and out of New Jersey. And I'm like, cool. Like, oh, good. You don't think I'm a slacker, because
you
that's,
understand,
you get that it's hard. I mean, it's a lot of freaking work to make a living doing this and survive. So that was just the beginning of a nice, beautiful friendship that Peter and I started. And, I was introduced to his wife and his kids and all this, and somewhere like, I don't know, a year had gone by or so. We were working together, or had to be less. I'm trying to remember, when was it? I mean, he would bring new guitars. He'd have new guitars shipped to the office, and then we like hang out and look at them. And
I'll marry whoever does that.
yeah. And then he, I would invite him to my shows. So like. I was playing some bar on Pearl Street in Boulder, and he brought his wife and kids, and that's how I met them all. And then, I think a year went by or so, and I was like, dude, we should just play music together. Like, I was finally, like, I really wanted to play more gigs, and I wanted music friends, because a lot of my music friends lived across the country, and I would drive and visit them, or I'd see them at like the Kerrville Folk Festival or wherever, and I'd left a ton of friends back in Boston. So I was like, I need people. I need my tribe. And I had I was like, I'm pretty sure you're like me, you just want to play some music, and like, let's just see. And so he invited me over one time, and I guess his family, they'd gone to they got on a trip or something. So he was home alone. He's like, yeah, come over. Let's just play some music. So we hung out for an evening, and I was like, yeah, this guy's a great guitar player.
Yeah.
Like, And then, somewhere in that same time frame, he shared with me that his wife wanted a divorce, or was wanting a separation. I don't have to get all the details, but and so I'm like, okay. I'm like, divorce sucks, dude. If you need a friend, call me. Like, it really, I had experienced it with another family member of mine. You know, I had lived it sort of, even though it wasn't my own divorce. You know, I knew what people needed, that it's really hard. So so we would go out for beers after work sometimes and just talk about divorce crap or whatever. Like, kind of this really was how we ended up really bonding, was over, I shared my experience and he, you know, and then it just kind of sprouted from that. I don't know, like organically. I was like somewhere in there, you know, as the months went on, like, I really like this guy. I should probably tell him. So I told him one time when we had a few beers, and I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have said
That's the right time.
You know, and so, yeah, I think he liked me too.
Yeah. And here we are. Here we are.
And 10 years, 11 years later.
Have a band together?
We have a band. We have a family, more or less.
That's amazing.
It's really weird. I did not expect that. Like, it really was one of those, like, wow, okay, you come with children. You come, you know, like, and this is, it just started and it just never stopped. You know, just one of those, like, let's hang out. Okay, let's date, I guess, or whatever, you know, and
And now
here's a key to my apartment, kind of thing. Yeah.
You already met the kids, so that's good.
I did. Yeah, I know. I knew the kids. Yeah, I met, you know, some of the kids, they were quite young, 1.5 and 3, I think, when we started dating.
Damn.
And now they're 12 and 15.
That's bonkers.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
They're cool, though. It's cool to see them grow up. It's amazing. It's amazing to have, like, wow, like, I knew these kids when they were really little.
And when they were just little, they could hardly talk.
Oh, yeah, I changed diapers, man.
Oh, my God.
Can you believe that? That's crazy.
I could never do that.
You could.
I've got a pretty...
you might. I don't know what you guys want to do.
Stomach. Whenever I clean up hairballs from my cat, I'm like, I could never have a kid. Oh, man. What's it like? Because now, like, obviously it's the Teresa Storch band, but Peter has, like, a pretty big part in the productions and everything. What's it like working together creatively?
Yeah, it's to be honest, Teresa Storch band really is Peter and I.
Yeah.
And it's our duo, which I don't know. We've thought about giving it another name. You know, like Strange Birds have this cool duo as well as the band. But I had the website already, and all, you know, it's like, you know, he didn't really seem to. I don't know. Maybe we just couldn't come up with a better name, but
well, I can tell you.
But Teresa Storch duo. We've done like Teresa and Peter. We thought about that. We've thought of, you know, Tim and Jenny.
We've been Tim and Jenny. We'll be Ostdiek and Bologna one of these days.
Yeah. We thought Storch and Lasis.
So,
you know, Peter's last name is Lasis. But yeah, so Teresa Storch band is really, and I think of it like the Dave Matthews band, because like Dave Matthews, if you interview him, he's like, I'm in the Carter Beauford band.
Yeah.
That's what he says.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm in like the Peter Lasis band or whatever. You know, like I feel like these guys that I play with, and currently we have the amazing Chad Mathis on bass.
We're all in the Chad Mathis band.
We all have the Chad Mathis on the bass band, and Christopher Wright on drums. I mean, these guys are like, they're like my family. Like they have really, since we started working with Chris in particular, it really like our little foursome just totally gelled. Yeah. Now I'm trying to remember when we started. 2021 I think was our first gig with Chris. Yeah, wow. Hasn't even been that long. But during that time, we also we recorded an album with Chris. Is a great recording engineer, so I did a bunch of work with him in the studio, and really got to know him. And you know, I already knew Chad. I mean, Chad and I worked together at our day job. We had a day job that we
Make Music
at makemusic.com. It was a really great place to work, so it's, I just feel like I've been so blessed in these ways of like people just sort of showing up in my life that are like, it's working out great, you know, and I love, now I'm forgetting what your initial question was.
It doesn't rambling matter. On. I don't remember what it was.
There's something about the band and between me and Peter, working with Peter.
Like kind of,
I digressed. Sorry about that. So
this is for the digression.
Yeah, it's interesting it's new for me to really collaborate with someone like this that's so close to me. It's also like because of the fact like it has to work. It has to like you can't screw up the relationship based on not liking something that they're putting in a song. You know, like it really is an interesting like, okay, drop your ego. Okay, so he doesn't like that D there in the song, you know. Like, okay, well then why don't you go back, you figure out what you want there and, you know, and tell me. Yeah. This happened recently. This is a true story. And I gave him an evening, and then the next, maybe it was the end of the night, or I forget when it was, he's like, yeah, I got nothing.
Come on.
He's like,
so
you're right. He basically came around to it.
Yeah.
He's like, play for me what you have. And I'm like, okay.
Sounds like you won.
I had to, but it wasn't about winning. It really was, I thought I was letting him win. I'm like, you have to figure it out. You have to, like, he had to find his own way to it. Yeah. And it's learning to really, to not hold anything too precious and not, also, and really allowing the other person to have their say of what they feel strongly about it. And it's this, I'm talking about this new song that we have. We'll be playing it this weekend, although I know this podcast won't be, it'll be way past the time.
Yeah, Helios, right?
Yeah, Helios. So we have a gig this weekend. This weekend is February 8th at Helios Public Art House in Longmont, but this podcast will be, long past by the time. So we're going to debut this new song with the band. It's exciting.
That's so exciting.
It's not total, and I don't think it's even totally done. I'm still really working on the lyrics. I want to, but we arranged it. The cool thing is we even got Chad involved to arrange the song, which is great.
That's the move. He arranged a couple on
the man with
my
the ears.
Record. That's the right thing to do.
If you catch him at a good time when he has. Yeah, we hung out on Sunday and plowed, like, woodshed that song. It was great. Awesome. And then we're also doing a new cover, which I'm really excited about. Ooh. Which if you know the song "Teardrop" by Massive Attack, you probably have no idea, but you probably know it.
Is it like Taylor Swift's "Teardrops on My Guitar"?
It's. Do you remember the TV show House?
Oh,
remember the theme song?
Which one is that?
You know, I might make you play it.
Okay,
you should look it up.
Let's look it up.
So going back to Peter and like what we've been doing lately, and that's like this new song we're gonna debut on this weekend. It's called "Last of Me," and it came from a guitar riff of his that he brought me. He brought the band one time, like last year. He was like, "Oh, I wrote this new thing," and everyone, he brought it to a rehearsal just like for fun. We were just jamming on it, like, "Oh, that's really cool." Like we gotta write that into something. And so that's just been in the back of my mind for months and months. And finally, we sat down and I'm like, "Okay, just get me a good recording of it so I can sit with it and like teach me the parts to it or whatever that like, and let me try to create something around it and get like what what it try to get a vibe of what is it about for me from this music he's created." And that's really weird to me. That's kind of interesting. It's like going backwards to me, because I usually come up with lyrics and then I create music. So and this is how "Open Your Heart" was created too. It's like he had this sort of, that was more of a coming together. I had a bunch of lyrics and he had this riff, and I'm like, I think those go together. I don't know. Anyway, so the song ends up just being like I feel like it's a thing about thinking I'm done with being a musician or being, or it could be the Democratic Party. I don't know. Like it could. It's like it's like the chorus is, "You haven't seen the last of me yet." They won't see it coming because they haven't seen the last of me. Yeah. So it's about, I don't know. It's like plowing through and coming back, I guess.
Getting back to it. And
getting back to it.
Beginning and
ending and beginning. Yeah, ending and beginning. Things. So it's like, it's been interesting because we did so much work last year to put this album out, and then I've sort of fell off the face of the earth. I feel like focused on my family and like, God, I should have been capitalizing on this. Like, I'm not a very good business person, and I needed to be doing this and that for my career. And I'm like, no.
This is another.
okay.
It's another experience that we had that was the same. We were working on. I was working on
yeah,
The Lost
you had
Days,
your
and you were
album.
working on
Open
Open
Your
Your
Heart.
Heart around the same time, and I had the same thing. I think it came out 2023.
Yeah, you just came out like a year
Just a little bit
before
before.
yeah, 6
and
months or
you
something.
grind so hard and you make it,
Yeah.
and then
Then you're like,
I had the intention. I was like, I'm gonna make a video about it every day, and I'm gonna do these
Yeah.
little things to promote it the way you're
Promote it,
supposed to, and then I didn't, and then you're like, you know what? It's like I
It's
think
so
it's a
much
fun. The longer I do this, and the older I get, the more that that Ani DeFranco quote rings true, that it's a record of a season at a time, and also it's just a wonderful offering, to put the time and the money into expressing the thing, and
You have
leaving
to
it
do.
there for whoever finds it. Like that's enough,
Yeah.
That's where I'm getting with it, and of course, I it'll to play the game and to work hard to find an audience for it. That's something too that would love to do, but a totally separate thing than like the fact that like us putting this energy into making these things is worth it, period. And then
Yeah, I was
Whatever,
talking
yeah.
with Jessica Rogalski from
Yeah.
Mojo Mama about this same topic, and she's like, "Yeah," she's like, "We put them out because we have to.
yeah,
Like, it's just what we
That's what we
need to
do.
do. We need to create this music and put it out there, and then, because they're a blues band, but they put out original music, but then they know." So we were talking about this, how it was like, we feel our band feels like we have to play more covers in order to play the bars and get people to pay attention, and to come out and to. Original music is really hard. At least I don't know if it is elsewhere in the country, but it feels like here in Colorado, and I'm even told this by various DJs and stuff. It's like, yeah, if you're not playing all across the state,
yeah,
and you're not doing covers you're not going to survive as make it as a
Yeah.
band. I'm like, okay. So it means touring, which I would love to do more of and get back to doing more. It'd be so fun.
Yeah.
It's how to work that in my current life.
yeah,
We could, have to do some planning and stuff. But
yeah. But that's
and
the game.
and so I'm like, okay, I can learn covers and I can try to make some cool things, And I know people don't necessarily know "Teardrop" by Massive Attack necessarily, but they might hear it and be like, "Ooh, that song." I want to do things that are interesting and are, I don't know, gotta be unique in a way.
I think that's the fun part with covers too, because they can like they can be original. I think there's
How you do them?
there's cover bands that you see and they're like playing the riffs, and the point is to do it just like the record and do it right.
which is cool.
And that's
and that's
cool.
a thing.
That's
a
cool.
thing.
But I think there's also an option to say I'm an artist and I'm gonna
Yeah, I'm
do
an
what I will
interpreter.
do with this, and
Yeah.
I think both of them have just as much value. But
Yeah, I have a friend who was her name is Rebecca Loby, and she was on the first season of The Voice.
oh yeah,
And she's a friend of mine.
yeah, I saw her open for someone.
Huh.
I can't remember.
Swallow Hill or something like
Yeah,
that. Or
it was one of those shows. It was
yeah. Anyway,
can't
so
remember
she got that show to be on that. She was like, "Yeah, I'll do whatever it takes," and it's all, it's all cover songs. You don't play original music on
Yeah.
that. But she was a singer songwriter, and she but she she really did a great job interpreting that Nirvana song. Oh God, I forget the name, but you'll find it online. Is it not Teen Spirit? It's
oh.
Is it Come As You Are?
Come As You Are is one.
I think it's. Yeah, she did Come As You Are.
Okay. Oh, that
Really mellow.
Yeah.
Really come as you are. I don't know. You'd have to. She did a great
Just
job.
gotta look it up.
It's like, and then you think about Alexa Wildish. She's a friend of ours who was
Yeah.
also won The Voice,
She's
and how
really
great
smart.
she's done some interpretation of
Yeah.
the Cher song.
Gosh.
Do you believe?
Such
Yes.
a great version.
Oh,
and her
so
voice, it's so
good.
cool to hear a voice that we know,
I know that we know.
But then you're like, oh my God, it's just as majestic and just fills the space. Mm-hmm. Just, the way it does the venues we see her on a national stage. Like, oh yeah, that's just the special thing that is. And it's so cool. Yeah.
I've loved seeing that with my friends, and I have a friend who was on Idol
Oh, cool.
back in the day. My friend Caleb Hawley. I call him he was my New York City guitar player. When I played New York, he would play with me. But then he's a killer, singer, writer, guitar player, all of it, and did pretty well. He made it to like the top 13.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Nice.
Great. Yeah. Anyway, he's a badass.
Badass.
I'm name dropping. I don't know.
It's fun to name drop a little bit. We're in the back half of it. We can name drop.
I don't need to be. Yeah. No, they're all friends of mine. I love it.
Yeah.
I just feel like so blessed and lucky that I've gotten to connect with people like that who are so talented. And, and then I feel like I'm a mom and a software engineer. Sometimes I feel like I don't do this. Who am I? What? I'm not a musician.
Yeah.
And then I get on a stage. I force myself to get up there. I'm like, oh yeah, this is who I am.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I can see in my brain I have that same version if I'm like that. But in my brain, you're Teresa fucking Storch.
I know, and you're too fucking awesome.
Yeah,
exactly.
Which is the treacherous and amazing way that this works.
Yeah.
Brain, you're like, not, but
yeah.
to everyone else, it's like, oh my
okay,
God.
we got to write some songs, Tim.
Let's write some songs. Should we do the speed round and then play some songs?
Sure. Oh, man, I forgot about the playing of the songs.
We don't have
could
to.
Just, I could talk for like hours. I'm sorry.
Now this is.
You have a good time editing.
Hey, there will be no editing. It's going out just like this. Goddamn. Dream co-write. If you could write a song with one person.
Oh, okay. Wow, Dave Matthews.
That's
easy.
That's the right answer.
Yeah.
Most unexpected song that influenced your music. I'll preface it with there's not many unexpected songs because you have such a wide range. None of them will be unexpected to me.
Unexpected song that influenced me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Teardrop. I mean, that's one of them. Yeah, I guess I'm just going to have to go back to that. Just Teardrop.
That's a winner.
That Massive Attack song, because that's not the thing. I don't write hip hop or rap. Those are the kind of two genres I haven't really touched, or reggae, I guess.
Yeah.
I could though. I mean, so I sometimes go, so I bet this will influence me, even though it hasn't really yet, but I think it's going to.
It's in the future.
As we're absorbing this song into the band. And trying to think of what else. There's another song that we covered recently, which is Natasha Bedingfield. Do you remember the Unwritten song?
I love that song.
I am unwritten.
Yeah.
Love that song.
Do you cover that one? Do you have a favorite songwriting tool? An instrument? Gear? A book? App?
I've been using Masterwriter now. That was from sweet Paul Reisler, who teaches at the Song School. He always gives you like a discount to use the Masterwriter app for decades. He's always, I've been going to the Song School and he finally, I'm like, okay, I'm going to use it. That's actually a useful tool. I was just using it in this new song to look up some rhymes and such. I don't know. What else do I use? I don't really have.
You've got
Walking.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Interestingly, to take a song and take it on a walk, basically, and because I kind of had to get out of my room, get out of the little space I've been, and get away from the blank page and think. I don't know. I feel like getting out of the box, sort of, walking does that for me.
Yeah, that's a good one. Oh. All right, second to last question. Okay. What's your favorite part about being a songwriter?
About being a songwriter. Oof. That feeling of when someone gets a song, when someone connects with it, and it either, I don't know, helped them or made them, feel something or help, I don't know, made them happy, made them made them, it's pretty amazing. Just when you get that kind of feedback. And sometimes it comes from the weirdest places. You're like, huh, that guy is really into my music. I had a one experience. So, friend of a friend back in Houston when I was touring, he bought one of my albums, my first little EP, and I toured back then around and came through Houston again, and ended up hanging out at his apartment afterwards, and he's like, yeah, look, I got your album, and it's on this shelf with all these other CDs in between Goat Whore and some other death metal band.
Goat Whore.
And I'm like, wow. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
That tracks.
I fit right in, man.
Yeah.
Like,
you know what?
It totally
makes a lot of sense.
Not at all. I was
Makes
like,
a lot of sense.
I like people. I could, the fact that I could like someone who's into something completely different than what I do would connect with it. I was like, that's cool. Anyway,
That's
so,
the best.
but
That's
just
such a good purpose.
yeah, it was just that feeling that I'm able to connect with someone in some way. And I mean, I've had people. I mean, I had a woman come to me after a show one time, and she's like, "I just had to let you know, like, I got your album. I don't know, it was my little EP, and my mom has cancer, and I've been driving down had to drive an hour each way to like go help take care of her, and I listened to your record over and over again, and it just really helped me get through. I was like, holy shit, that kind of stuff. You're like, oh,
Oof.
that's why you do it.
It's worth everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, okay, I'm done.
I'm done.
I guess I got to keep going. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
okay. Yeah, what time is
That's
it?
good.
Yeah, I could just keep talking and
you
keep
ready
talking.
for the last question? It's the one I had the most fun writing.
Oh shoot. Okay.
It's a real doozy.
Oh no.
Prepare yourself. Why didn't you ask me and Jenny to sing background on We Belong?
We belong on our album.
No. I mean,
I love it.
always.
Always, you always do.
Yeah. So for those at home, Teresa Storch Band has the most amazing version of We
You're so
Belong
sweet.
by Pat Benatar. Which a fun throwback too in the strange connections of music. That was my first concert. Pat Benatar. Scottsbluff, Nebraska.
What?
Pat Benatar played in Scottsbluff, Nebraska.
Oh my
I was
God.
like, holy shit, this is amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, and I don't know, like, I don't.
That would make me become a
I don't know why
songwriter.
she did it, but yeah, that was like
Scottsbluff. I love it.
Scottsbluff. I know. That's
Wow.
crazy. But you've got to
I
listen to the
know.
version, and while you're listening,
We don't
to
have the
Teresa Storch,
descant. You're right. We didn't do
just
the
imagine
We
the most
Belong.
obnoxious, like high pitched, nasally, really loud. Woo!
They
It's
do
awful,
it.
but we do it every
They
time.
do it
now.
every time, at least from the audience.
Yeah.
I mean, I can get you up and have you do it for real.
Yeah, I don't
if
think
you want to
should do that.
no,
We don't know.
Okay. If you want,
No,
I'm always like wanting
No.
my friends up on stage with me
We do other songs, but that one it's kind of more fun to be
to be the
from the
obnoxious audience
and,
member.
and like in the song, you're supposed to do it just like for after they sing it, like the last time. I think we do it every time. We belong to we just do it every single time, and
It's a really
obnoxious.
fun descant to sing.
Great descant.
Yes.
Yeah.
That makes me want to write a descant in a song.
Yeah. Let's write a song with a descant.
Okay, challenge.
Teresa, thanks for doing this.
Don't hurt yourself. Oh.
Thank you guys so much for watching or listening. Thanks to Teresa Storch for being such a wonderful guest. If you dig the show, please give us a little 5-star rating. Subscribe and share this with your friends if you dig it. Thanks so much to Longmont Public Media for letting me use the camera and some of the audio gear to hopefully make this show look and sound good. Thanks to Jenny Belania, my fiance, for all her wonderful support of this show. Thanks to Simon and Mipso the Cats for being the best, and we'll see you next week on Songs Off the Vine.